AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from downtown Baton Rouge.
Let's ride!
Hour 2 off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
You're a loser, Matt!
Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
You sure. And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. About 15 minutes from right now, we'll head out to San Francisco. Brian Peacock will join us, Locked On 49ers podcast. Right now, it looks like Brock Purdy trending toward not playing Sunday in the Superdome, which means Mac Jones would make the start for the Niners against the Saints. But we'll get the latest from San Francisco here in about 15 minutes from right now. Earlier on Wednesday, the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame announced the 2026 induction class. Of course, Ronnie Rantz, president of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Good enough to join us in studio to talk a little bit about it. Slimbo, how are you?
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Big day for the Hall of Fame.
Rugeron, El Presidente. How many nicknames you got?
Skip used to call me Jumbo. Lost a couple
Jumbo,
pounds.
that's
Called
right.
me Slimbo.
Slimbo.
Then he called me Casino Ron when I was at La Berge.
Casino Ron. Forgot about Casino Ron. Hey, Casino Ron, put on the can so you can hear
There you
yourself.
go.
You're
There you
floating
go.
away
There
from
you
the
go.
mic.
There
You got the volume on the silver knob there on the left.
First time in the studio.
Yeah, right. I figured you'd have known better. No, let's talk about it, man. So a 9-member class. What stands out?
Wow. I got a lot of text messages today from folks when they saw the announcement at 10 a.m. Hey, great class. And my response was, every year it is.
Yeah, true.
I mean, you know that. You've
That's
been through
true.
the process a couple times. I mean, it's you could shake up, close your eyes, pick out of a bag, and you'd end up with a great class. And that's what we did. You know, a lot of personal ties, obviously. You always have a number of LSU ties. Stands out Sylvia Fowles.
Mm-hmm.
Some say maybe probably the second greatest LSU women's basketball player of all time, next to Simone Augustus, arguably. Sylvia Fowles, 4 Olympic gold medals, 4 Final Fours. She's going in. She just got inducted into the Naismith Hall of Fame last week. And then, Todd McClure, who we had on your show, John Brady, of course, took LSU to the Final Four. Has anyone changed has anyone in a matter of less than 20 years really changed how people feel about someone more than John Brady?
Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, exactly.
It happens sometimes where when they're no longer in it, Nick Saban is the same way as well. Like he's been very humanized since he's been on College Game Day, right? I think a lot of that's happened with John as well. He's a very intense coach, and there were a lot of ebbs and flows during his career. They had the highs, conference champions, Final Four, tournament teams. They had some dips, and so it was an emotional ebb and flow. But he loves LSU, and he's come back here, and he's on the broadcast now, and he's beloved. Yes,
Right. Yeah, it's amazing. And he I think the cool thing about John is that he's self-reflective. He realizes, you know what, I was a little too intense. I was maybe not the nicest guy in the world to the media and everybody back when I was coaching. I regret that. And much like Jerry Donardo did the same thing. I saw Jerry Donardo years later after he left here, and he was like, I micromanaged too much at the end of the days. I wish I'd have let my coaches coach more and maybe hired a little better coaches, obviously, once he lost the good ones. But anyway, John, much the same. And then Warren Morris picking up an ambassador award.
Explain the ambassador.
It's an award that it's not given out every year. It's only the third time it's ever been given out. Tim Brando got it the first time. Wilbert Ellis, the longtime baseball coach at Grambling, and then became athletic director. It's an award that's sort of just someone who represents the state of Louisiana, obviously sports related, but someone who brings glory and doesn't necessarily fit in the box. They're not an administrator. Maybe their career wasn't quite just Hall of Fame by itself, but when you take into consideration everything that person means to the state of Louisiana, and they always rep the state, then that's the Ambassador Award. Look at Warren Morris. People always think of Warren, by the way, 30-year anniversary in next summer,
right?
Of the home run to beat Miami back in 1996. But everybody thinks of that moment. But hey, great player, won a bronze medal Olympian later that summer in 1996, representing the United States, played in the major leagues for a number of years. So he wasn't just that moment. And then, of course, and what better ambassador for LSU and for the state of Louisiana than Warren, such a great guy, such a humble guy. And then the ESPN SEC, kind of 30 for 30 documentary put him on the map in that 30-minute package. We always joke that it's the rain delay filler. Anytime a game only goes 2.5 hours and they had a 3-hour block, they put the Warren Morris package on. Anytime it gets rained out, they put the Warren Morris package on. So that sort of enhanced his status nationally to another level because everybody now knows the story.
The LSU ties, I think we're all familiar. And it was great to have Todd McClure in here to make that announcement a few weeks ago when he was here in studio with us. It was also interesting that Joe Horn, all-time great New Orleans Saint receiver, going in this year.
He was actually selected and was supposed to go in with Nick Saban in the 2020 class. COVID happened, didn't have it. Then he got into a little legal sticky troubles there that he had to deal with. And once that was behind him, then the path was clear for the Hall of Fame to put him in. But he's already been sort of selected. We just now picked this year to put him into the class. And, of course, everybody remembers the cell phone hidden underneath the goalpost after scoring the touchdown, and one of the more iconic stories ever. And another iconic story is that when we tried to reach him by phone, we couldn't get in touch with him because he wouldn't have cell service where he was at. I'm thinking, wait, you can answer a call during an NFL game, but you can't answer a call to go into the Hall of Fame. He's super thrilled.
Scooter Hobbs had the line when they did get Joe on the phone. They sent him a video in the room.
We sent him a video.
Yeah, and it's like you can hide a cell phone in the goalpost, but you can't answer the phone to learn you're going to the Hall of Fame. It was a funny moment.
Another person that I'm really baseball guy I love, Jonathan Lucroy, who was an unbelievable player for the Ragin' Cajuns as a catcher. Had a fantastic professional career with the Milwaukee Brewers primarily, and he's going in. And Jonathan Lucroy, this is really cool. Major League Baseball did an all-time team for each team this year, kind of an anniversary deal. Greatest Yankee team ever, greatest Red Sox team ever, position by position, the best player for each franchise. Jonathan Lucroy was picked as the catcher for the Brewers. That's all you need to know.
That's awesome. Yeah, a dozen big league seasons. That's awesome.
And then then you got Mike McConaughey. People say, well, who's Mike McConaughey? He's only the winningest basketball coach in Louisiana history at the college level. Coached at Northwestern State, won a couple of NCAA tournament games there, which they'll probably never do again, right?
Not in this era.
Bossier Parish Community College, and then a great player in his own right at Louisiana Tech. So he is the gentleman of college basketball, and there's a tremendous tree from Mike McConaughey. And then to me, the part of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, we all know, a lot of people know the Sylvia Fowles story or who John Brady is or whatever, or Joe Horn. People say, well, Dwayne Strother. Well, who's Dwayne Strother? Why does he deserve to go into the Hall of Fame? Well, how about this? In the United States of America, there are, thousands and thousands of high school basketball coaches that have coached forever. He's the second winningest coach in the United States of America all time.
It's incredible.
That's all that's it.
When we were in the room last month voting, and one of the cool things that, just as I've gotten to experience the process the last 2 years, is sort of I don't know if mandate is the right way to say it, but the requirement that certain, like, you have to have in a certain area, like I think for a 5-year span, there has to be a high school elective.
Because we got a log jam at that position.
Exactly. I mean, you could put in 9 LSU football players every year and never run out of players to put in, right? If you wanted to, or Saints. You could, but it's a very representative sample, and so it makes you look at people like Dwayne Strother, in the history of the United States of America, only one guy or woman, I don't know who it is, but he's the second winningest high school girls basketball coach in the history of the sport in the United States of America.
Right.
That's an absurd thing to think.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like obviously that's what the Hall of Fame does. It tells those stories. And you did mention Pat Williams as well, who's the last one who got inducted.
Yeah, went to Wassman High School, and then he had a great career at A&M, and then played 15 years, 3 Pro Bowls. So we got a center and a nose guard,
right. How about
which
that,
is
man?
really, really, really cool.
Maybe get Todd McClure and Pat Williams to go head-to-head there on the stage. See who still has anything left in
By
them.
the way, Dwayne Strother, Florine, the town of Florine's throwing a party today.
They're all going to be. They're all going to be in Natchitoches coming up in June. Ronnie Rantz is with us. Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame 2026 induction class was announced today, and so the induction ceremony is in June up in Natchitoches at the Hall of Fame. What are the details for people?
Yeah, always the last weekend in June. And folks, we've had people ask, how do I get tickets? How do I get tables? Because people are excited, especially family and friends. You go to lasportshall.com. Just go to lasportshall.com. You can find out all the info. We literally have like 6 events over 3 days honoring these folks, June 25th, 26th, and 27th.
It's really cool. A lot of social media has been out there today. I saw Jonathan Lucroy tweeted, it's a privilege and an honor to have been elected, and we had Todd McClure in studio a few weeks ago.
Did you see Todd's post?
No, I didn't.
Todd said,
well, he's a Facebook guy. It had to be on Facebook.
Right. So Todd said, he said I used to have sleepless nights whenever I played the Vikings. Going against the Williams brothers over there on the defensive line. He said, I never thought I'd be on the field with them again. So it's an honor to go into the Hall of Fame with them.
Very cool, man. Excited for the entire class.
And Red River Bank up in Alexandria, where Warren Morris works, he's been a banker for years and years. They did a surprise little party for him today. Really cool. Very
cool. I mean, it's and if you've never, I know I've said it before, if you've never been to the Hall of Fame, even if you can't get there for the induction, I mean, I recommend you go, but make a trip up to Natchitoches. I say it all the time, like, spend a day, like, drive to Natchitoches, go to the Hall of Fame, have lunch on the river, you stay there. And it's really a cool thing that I think if you're a sports fan in the state, you should go experience the Hall of Fame. I mean, they've done a fantastic job with the museum there.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is a sight
Tuesday
to see.
through Saturday, 10 to 4:30 is when it's open. And then, the best time of the year, of course, is during the Christmas festival from Thanksgiving to the first of the year. It's amazing. It's like a winter wonderland. And then, another best time of the year is the Hall of Fame induction weekend.
Yeah. So if you can get there in June, do it. Tickets available at lasportshall.com.
That's it.
lasportshall.com. lasportshall.com. Slimbo, Rugaron, Jumbo, Casino Ron, El Presidente. What did I leave off?
I think you got them all.
Did we check them all? Host of Sport Shorts Radio right here on 104.5 ESPN Radio in Baton Rouge. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming in.
Appreciate you, man.
Great class, man. We're excited to celebrate with this class coming up in June. All right, it's after further review. We're going to head to San Francisco. Brian Peacock, Locked on 49ers. He's here next to fill in all the deets on San Francisco as they're heading down to the Dome this Sunday.
AFR.
Buying or selling, commercial or residential. Think real estate. Think Darren James. Of course, you can always go to the website, agent225.com, agent225.com. Newly redesigned, upgraded website, agent225.com, where, as I've mentioned, if you're curious, we've started to see projections, rates keep ticking down. It's a great time to jump in the market. If you're thinking about selling your home, well, first thing you got to do is know how much your current home is worth. You sell it, what can you make on it? What do you have in it? What's your equity? Well, if you need to get an appraisal of your home, you can do that in literally 30 seconds. Go to agent225.com. There's a home value tab right there at the bottom of the home page or on your mobile. You'll see it just says home value. Type in your property address, and literally, and as quickly as you can type in your property address, you'll have an appraisal of your home. It's at agent225.com, agent225.com. If you need a realtor, you need to sell your home, you need Darren James.
Think real estate, think Darren James.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com. Who dat say they're gonna beat them Saints? Let's head behind enemy lines to preview this week's matchup.
Drama. Saints, Niners, and keeping a keen eye this week on the injury report. Let's head out to San Francisco. Brian Peacock, Locked on 49ers, good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here talk about the Niners is, they're facing some uncertainty coming to the Dome this weekend. Hey, Brian, thanks for the time, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's never a dull moment with the San Francisco 49ers.
Well, let's just start with the most giant part of this, and that's Brock Purdy. What can you tell us as of here on Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah, according to Kyle Shanahan today, talking with reporters, Brock Purdy is a long shot to play against the Saints this weekend, and in fact might be multiple weeks that Brock Purdy's out. He's got a shoulder, he's got a toe. He was able to finish the game last week, but apparently taking inventory of himself after the game, realizing how bad he was hurt. He did take a couple of hits, was under pressure quite often in that game week 1 against the Seahawks, and as of now, it's looking like it's going to be the Mac Jones show in New Orleans.
Well, a lot of people here are familiar with Mac Jones' time at Alabama. Didn't have a great start to his career in New England last year with Jacksonville, now with the Niners. What is a realistic expectation for Mac Jones this weekend, if in fact he is the guy?
It's hard to say. He looked okay in the preseason. I think he looked like someone who's a good backup as far as NFL backups go. I think he is a good fit for Kyle Shanahan's offense, and clearly he was the guy that Kyle identified as a player that he would potentially even draft as high as number 3 overall in 2021. Now, 49ers fans kind of learned throughout that offseason and draft process to kind of hate Mac Jones because nobody wanted the 49ers to draft Mac Jones. So it's really funny that it's come full circle, and he's back with the 49ers and now likely going to start this week. He's going to be a little bit more aggressive than Brock Purdy as far as downfield throws, I think, but probably less efficient. So maybe that makes for a more fun game, but also it makes for, I think, high volatility on whether it turns out to be really good or potentially bad for the 49ers. I haven't been super impressed from what I've seen of Mac Jones throughout his NFL career. I definitely think he was overdrafted. But Kyle Shanahan is an offensive wizard, and he's made Jimmy Garoppolo look amazing. He turned Mr. Irrelevant into a $53 million per year quarterback. So, and even the work he did with Sam Darnold kind of helping save his career and become a starting quarterback again. So I expect Mac Jones to be a pro and be ready to play.
What do we expect with Kittle on IR? What the impact is there on the offense?
I mean, Kittle alone is such an important piece for the 49ers because of not only his ability as a receiver, but he's the best blocking tight end in the NFL. And we saw that in week 1 against the Seahawks. They only had one really good drive all game long, and it was when Kittle was in the game. And he ended that drive with the touchdown. And the 49ers had trouble running the ball after that and really couldn't. I mean, it was a struggle for the 49ers. And the Seahawks have a good defense, and Brock Purdy, I think, was pressing a little bit, made some great throws. Kind of made some throws that maybe he would like to have back, but they also were afraid to kick field goals because they didn't trust their kicker, who they ended up cutting the day after last week's game. So George Kittle is massively important, and he would be less important if you had Brandon Ayuk and you had a healthy football team around him. But right now the 49ers are just so injured that it's it was last week, but it's going to become even more so the Christian McCaffrey show, I think, this week.
I'm glad you mentioned it. McCaffrey made his return. Ho-hum goes off for 140 total yards. He's just like nothing was ever wrong. Give me, if you would, your impressions of McCaffrey and what type of impact they're expecting he'll have this week in New Orleans.
Look, and Kyle Shanahan loves to lean on his number one back, and Christian McCaffrey gives Kyle the opportunity to call any play in his playbook at any time when he's in the game. So he never wants to take Christian McCaffrey off the field. The running game wasn't really working all that well. It was 3 yards per carry, but you see how good McCaffrey is out of the backfield as a receiver, and he had 9 catches in that game, and they leaned on him quite a bit and kept running him even though they couldn't run the football, and it was a close game, and they were able to stay on script, and that's what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. He wants to stay balanced. He wants you to not know if he's going to throw the ball or run the ball, wants to stay in front of the sticks, wants to keep the game close and not have to, be forced to be one-dimensional. And so I think there's going to be a lot of Christian McCaffrey again. He had 22 carries and 9 catches. It's unsustainable usage for Christian McCaffrey. We know how much he's been hurt throughout his career. You can't give Christian McCaffrey 517 touches this year. But right now, Kyle Shanahan has no choice to not take him off the field. So I expect a lot of Christian McCaffrey. It might not be efficient. And I would like to see Brian Robinson take a few of those carries away from him just to keep him a little bit fresher. But really, Christian McCaffrey out of the backfield is such a tough player for linebackers to cover.
Brian Peacock's with us, Locked On 49ers. He's on Twitter at BD Peacock if you want to give him a follow. Okay, you alluded to it there with Moody being out the place kicker. They signed Eddie Pinheiro, another SEC guy from Florida. A lot of people down here know. If it comes down to a kick, what's the confidence level here in Pinheiro?
It's probably higher. Not even seeing him kick any balls recently. And it's funny that he it was between the Falcons and the 49ers, and he chose the 49ers over the Atlanta Falcons. So I know a lot of Saints fans will appreciate that from Eddie Pinheiro. But, I mean, he's one of the more accurate kickers in the NFL, and I think at this point he's going to be an upgrade over Jake Moody, who had lost all confidence and after hurting his leg last year had been only about a 50% field goal kicker. So my confidence in Pinheiro is definitely higher than it was in Jake Moody's. But really, I think Kyle Shanahan's kind of at his wit's end. He doesn't want to think and worry about special teams, which is why he drafted a third-round kicker in the first place. And you just can't throw draft picks at that position. It doesn't work that way. Hopefully, Eddie Pinheiro's the guy.
Despite who might be there at quarterback or who might not be there with Kittle or whatever the case may be, I mean, obviously, Deebo Samuel's now on the other side of the country. It may not matter if the defense is great. So, give us the thumbnail idea or the 10,000-foot view of this Niners defense here, 1 week into the season.
Robert Saleh is a phenomenal football coach. I'll put it that way. And I think the last couple of years since D'Amico Ryans left, who's also a fantastic football coach, the 49ers had struggled to find someone that Kyle Shanahan trusted. And really, the 49ers under Steve Wilkes and under Nick Sorensen last year were kind of running a version of that defense that Robert Saleh had kind of installed, and it was almost the Kyle Shanahan defense, and he didn't really let those guys run their own thing. And so it became static and kind of stale. And seeing Robert Saleh, and now with more knowledge and going and coaching the Jets and coming back, it looked a lot more exotic than the old Robert Saleh front. They used to try to get pressure with 4, and he's still trying to get pressure with 4. But you saw this turbo package with 4 defensive ends on the field, with first-rounder Mykel Williams bumping inside, with Yetur Gross-Matos playing some tackle, and showing some simulated pressures and bringing some blitzes and dropping a defensive lineman, and it was a lot more exotic than I remember from Robert Saleh's defense the first time around. And they did a really good job against Sam Darnold and the Seahawks last week. I was impressed with so many rookies, 3 rookies starting for that defense.
Is there any matchup on the field Sunday where the Saints might give the 49ers, give you pause, where the Saints might have an advantage?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough with, similar to Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara's ability to run and catch the ball is always going to be tough. Luckily, the 49ers do have a linebacker like Fred Warner, and D. Winters looked awesome to start his 3rd season last week, and he's got 4.4 speed and looked a lot like Dre Greenlaw, so that was a big check mark for Robert Saleh's unit. But I would probably point to the rookie nickel Upton Stout, and the Seattle Seahawks targeted him early and often in that game, and he didn't have a great PFF grade after the game, which I didn't expect him to have because he was targeted so heavily, gave up a penalty. So, Rashid Shaheed, it'll be, 2 diminutive, fast guys going at it, but I think that nickel defender is probably a place that the Saints will attack the San Francisco 49ers.
What is Kyle Shanahan's blueprint to get a win Sunday in the Dome?
Run the ball. They need to be successful running the football, whether it's Christian McCaffrey or Brian Robinson. The offensive line did not play great last week against the Seahawks. They weren't able to run the ball. They need to keep this game close and not let anything weird happen to where they're chasing points and need to throw to get back in a football game. So Kyle Shanahan wants to be balanced, and if you can't run the ball and you get in a lot of 3rd and longs, it makes that very difficult. So that's key number 1.
It is a great week to subscribe to Locked On 49ers if you're not already, podcast or YouTube. He's Brian Peacock on Twitter at BD Peacock if you want to give him a follow, the host of Locked On 49ers. Hey, man, we appreciate the time and the insight. Thanks so much.
Hey, it was a pleasure. I love talking to you guys.
It's our pleasure. Saints and Niners, the line this week is currently at 3.5, so that line keeps ticking down. It opened at Niners 7.5. We got the Brock Purdy news. We've consistently seen that number tick down. Obviously, Kittle going to IR. The Niners making a change there. Place kicker, bringing in Pinheiro. Juwan Jennings is going to play. We know that. We're still waiting on the official injury report from San Francisco. The Saints injury report is out. We'll get to that here in just a smidge. But injuries are going to play a big part in Sunday on both sides, so we're going to keep an eye on that. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking of buying land, of course, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit, because for a century, our friends at First South Farm Credit have helped Louisianians buy land. When you do one thing for more than 100 years, you're going to be pretty darn good at it. You know, there's the whole 10,000 hour rule. You want to become an expert at something, you do that thing for 10,000 hours. What if you do it for 100 years? Well, that's First South Farm Credit. By the way, they can help you buy land anywhere in the lower 48. So it doesn't matter if you're thinking about that rural property in Mississippi or that hunting property in Texas, or you want some land in southern Arkansas, or you want to build a ranch in Utah or Montana or wherever it may be, Idaho. They can help you do it with First South Farm Credit. You're thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. All right, y'all. It is After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. Hump Day shows are brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com. That's yourgoodwood.com. Thanks to Ronnie Rantz, who hung out with us here for a little bit, president of the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Brian Peacock there of Locked On 49ers. Russ Mitchell is going to be here in 45 minutes. We'll recap the week 2 in the Southeastern Conference. We'll preview week 3, which is coming up this weekend, starting obviously the week 3 of college football begins tomorrow. We'll get to the SEC slate on Saturday. Really looking forward to that. A beefed up slate, especially considering what a dud week 2 was. But man, we say it often, and it just kind of holds true. And I know it feels a bit arbitrary, but whenever you have those sleepy weekends where everyone's just kind of not really expecting much, it's when you typically have somebody get nipped. And we saw it last week with Mississippi State upsetting number 12 Arizona State, and obviously with LSU's opponent, Florida, losing to South Florida on their home field. Just those sleepy little weekends, man, where you think just ho-hum, a bunch of blowouts. Generally, when you get 18 to 22-year-olds not focused, you could see some updates. But I think LSU and Florida will both be fully focused for this game. As a matter of fact, both Brian Kelly and Billy Napier were on the SEC Coaches Teleconference on Wednesday. We'll let you hear from both the coaches as they continue their preparation for Saturday's game in Tiger Stadium. Don't you move. It's AFR.
After Further Review.
And, of course, unlikely to be playing Saturday in Tiger Stadium is Trey'Dez Green, but Trey'Dez with the knee injury. But we hope to see him back there soon. Of course, Trey'Dez is a new partner with Duplessis Builders. Love telling you about Derek Duplessis and the great team over there. You want to build a pool, there's a lot of different options. And everyone can tout their beautiful pools. Literally everybody that builds pools. There's so many people that build beautiful pools. So if someone says, hey, we're going to build you a beautiful pool. Okay. Hey, look at our Instagram. Look at all of our beautiful pools. Okay, that's literally everybody. Everybody builds beautiful pools. We know that objectively. They're beautiful. But what about the bones? What about the guts? Is it going to last? Well, Duplessis gives you a 10-year workmanship warranty when the industry standard is 1 year. If you're calling around, ask, how long's your workmanship warranty? The industry standard is 1 year. Duplessis gives 10 years. And oh, by the way, they support the Tigers as well. 3 big-time prospects who are going to sign with the Tigers. Trey'Dez Green, part of Duplessis' team as well. DuplessisBuilders.net.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Big-time challenge going into Baton Rouge Saturday. And I think as a competitor, these are the opportunities that you dream of. And obviously, we're right in the middle of the prep here. But in general here, we're excited about all that comes with this. And got a ton of respect for LSU, Coach Kelly, his staff, and their team. And this will require us to be at our best. Keep it simple. That's where we're at right now.
Old slow talking, Sunbelt Billy. Billy Napier on the SEC Coaches Teleconference. I jest. I like Billy Napier a lot. When he was at Lafayette, he was good to us, came on the show often, and wish him well. I mean, I don't ever want to see Florida succeed in anything, but I wish him personally well, certainly not this weekend in any way. But it's an opportunity to bounce back. And as you might imagine, that was sort of the core of the questioning. The embarrassing loss to South Florida, now the daunting task of going on the road against LSU, a defense that here at the start of the season has been among the best in the country in every major statistical category. Just mightily impressive. And a Florida team and offense that's really trying to find itself a little bit in the early going. And, Napier was asked about the response from his team this week. And as you might imagine, it's one of resolve. These are young people who are resilient, and you see it oftentimes. And Napier sort of reflected that today.
The important thing here is that we use what we experienced Saturday. What are we going to do with the lessons we learned? What are we going to do with the emotions that we feel? And can we take that and use it as a catalyst here, to make the team better, right? And I think ultimately what I do sense is a loyalty. I think the guys they want to do their best for each other. And I think that they're trying to take this head on here. And I think it's got an opportunity. These things they make you better, right? They make you stronger. They make you tougher. They make you battle tested. They help you improve yourself. And I think when you run into a little bit of adversity, it's important that you elevate and you not shrink back.
He's said a mouthful, but he's not wrong. And you do oftentimes see that. When you have an embarrassing result, do you rebound and allow that to inspire you to play better, or do you allow that to beat you again the next week? I know I've referenced it, but in 2017, LSU lost on their home field to Troy. It was an embarrassing loss. A week later, they went to Gainesville to play Florida in a game nobody thought they'd win, and LSU won that game 17-16 in Gainesville. Pretty incredible outcome considering where they were just a week prior. Florida has a similar opportunity now with the shoe on the other foot. They lost an embarrassing game at home to South Florida. Now they got to come on the road to Baton Rouge and see how all this is going to play out. But it feels like a much greater task against this LSU defense, which right now is 11th in the country at just 207 yards per game and is 13th at just 8.5 points per game. This is an LSU defense that went to Clemson and held that Clemson offense. And maybe time as it plays out, we'll look back and say maybe Clemson isn't a great team. I mean, they just, were handcuffed for a half incidentally, by Troy. But I think it was pretty naturally a letdown spot for both LSU and Clemson a week ago. Is a look-ahead spot for Florida. It's the reason we talk about these things. They're cliches, but cliches often are rooted in some degree of truth, and especially when you're talking about young people, it's why these axioms sort of hold, because it is true. You do look ahead as much as you try to focus on 1-0. So, yes, I do believe Florida's going to come to Baton Rouge and give LSU their best shot. I also believe that it's going to be really hard, even for Florida at their best, to move the ball, because this is a Florida team that right now offensively has not been very good. I'll remind you on Monday when Billy Napier met with reporters and he was talking about his quarterback, DJ Lagway, he effectively acknowledged something we've been talking about, which is Lagway is rusty.
I thought he made a lot of steps forward in the game Saturday. I think he's still getting comfortable. You guys can see that much like he can and we can. So he's still getting in the rhythm. This was third week of practice. You can see that, getting comfortable with some of these skill players. And then, I think he's really close, to having a huge day. And, he takes that personal, and he's an elite competitor.
Maybe DJ Lagway is close to having a huge day. Maybe he is. But I can look at two games. They played Long Island and won 55-0 against a completely overmatched team. Lagway was efficient, 15 of 18, but only threw for 120 yards, 3 touchdowns. He was sacked once. He ran 3 times for 3 yards with a long and 9. Of course, sack yardage is stupid, but it's not adjusted. Then against South Florida, he was 23 of 33 for 222, a touchdown and a pick, ran 6 times for 9 yards, a long of 7. That's not going to get it done against LSU. He's going to have some otherworldly type performance to be able to move the ball against an LSU defense that so thoroughly confused a 5th-year senior and 3-year starter in Cade Klubnik, who was playing on his home field with veteran receivers, 4 veteran offensive linemen, and they could only muster 10 points on their home field. And 3 of those were handed to Clemson after an LSU turnover. Like, yes, DJ Lagway is going to have to be otherworldly for Florida to have a chance to win this game. And we just haven't seen DJ Lagway really be that in his time at Florida. Like, with respect, the one game that pops was the first game he ever started, and that was against Samford when he threw for 456 and 3 touchdowns. But I've said this before, if you remove the game against Samford, which I know you can't, it happened, and everybody's averages go that way for a certain way, but we can all, I think, equally acknowledge playing Samford at home is not the same as playing Tennessee on the road or playing Georgia in Jacksonville. Now, he came in that game after, or he left that game, or came in that game after with injury with a hamstring. But then playing LSU and playing Ole Miss, even in that Ole Miss game, the game they won 24-17, he was 10 of 17 for $180, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Like, Florida had no business winning that game. He only completed 50% of his passes against LSU. He was 13 to 26, had a touchdown and no interceptions. He wasn't great. LSU couldn't finish drives, had a very costly turnover, and allowed a 55-yard touchdown run. That's a recipe to get beat when you don't go play your best. You allow a lesser team to stay in it. And that's what happened in those games. Even their win against Florida State last year, he threw for $133, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Like, that's not going to be good enough. You can be awed by DJ Lagway because of the physical ability, the size, the arm strength, and all that is incredible. It's why he was a 5-star prospect. But but the results that I'm talking about here are also why in July, when we're talking about this, I kept pushing back on Lagway and Lenora Sellers and Art, saying they're great physical talent. Like, no one's arguing the physical ability, but you still have to see it. There's plenty of super talented athletes that struggle in the Southeastern Conference. It's hard to go on the road and win in this league. And DJ Lagway's figuring that out still a little bit early in his career. Now, on Wednesday, Billy Napier also gave an update on DJ Lagway here at the midway point of the week.
DJ continues to get exponentially better by the day. The more work he gets, the better he's going to get. So, it's exponential improvement at this point because he's getting a ton of reps each day with his teammates. So I'm excited about that. I think that's one of the things that I look forward to is watching him continue to get better.
And by the way, I do believe that. Like, that is a logical statement. Remember where we started with the Lagway convo. Lagway did not participate in spring because of the shoulder. And then he missed fall camp because of a leg injury. So Napier told you he's only been practicing for 3 weeks. He practiced before the opener. He practiced for a week, and then they had the game week of Long Island and then the game week of South Florida. He practiced for 1 week before they were in a game week. So, yeah, I do fully expect as the season goes along and he gets more comfortable and gets into a rhythm with his receivers and starts processing again, that he's going to continue to improve. It's probably one of the reasons why LSU's catching Florida at a good spot early in the schedule as opposed to maybe later in the schedule, like what happened last year. But I'm struggling to find that point where I think Florida's coming here and is going to have some big offensive day. I think Florida, this game relies on their defense and their ability to create turnovers because I don't believe that DJ Lagway and that cast of offensive guys where they're not exceptional on the outside. They got a good running back, a big running back, but LSU's been outstanding against the run. I'm just not convinced Florida's coming in here and is gonna score in the 30s. So they're gonna have to try to muddy this thing up and play a low-scoring game and maybe force Garrett Nussmeier into some mistakes. But if DJ Lagway comes in here and balls out and throws for 300 yards, I'll be the first to tip my cap. But that's one of those where I'm a doubting Thomas, brother. I got to see it to believe it, and I ain't seen it yet with DJ Lagway. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, with locations all over South Louisiana. Of course, Tigers are at home this weekend, but maybe next week you're driving to Seattle to watch the Saints against the Seahawks. I don't know why you do that, but you might be. And if you are, make sure you get your tires rotated, or if you need new tires, buy them where you're going to get the best tires at the cheapest price. That's at Shaw Bills. Go to ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Remember, you can always go to the website where you can schedule service, you can shop tires. If you go to shopbillstire.com, there's also like a little chat bubble on the homepage. Or if you click that, you can be chatting with an associate in instance. You just choose the location that's nearest you, and you'll be chatting with an associate instantly. It can help you schedule service or shop or whatever you have going on there. It's Shawbill's Tire and Auto Service. I always tell you about the Charlie's Dozen. It's a dozen benefits to doing business with Shawbill's, which include free tire repairs for the life of your tires for your entire family, and the price match guarantee. Buy tires at Shawbill's. You find them advertised cheaper somewhere else, they're going to refund you 125% of the difference. It's Shawbill's Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbill's. We keep you rolling. All right, it's after further review. I'm glad you're hanging out with us here on this this Hump Day edition presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. We used to have Tigers and the Pros when we come back here, and we'll flip the page in hour 3. We'll talk a little Saints-Niners as we have the Saints injury report. We're still waiting on the Niners injury report, and Russ Mitchell will be here in about 30 minutes from right now. Talk a little SEC football. Glad to have you hanging out with us here on Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness.
After further review.
Another home game for the Tigers means another big Friday night for Renaissance Baton Rouge. Of course, Friday night, whenever the LSU's playing a home football game, the Tigers move on into Renaissance Baton Rouge right there on Bluebonnet near I-10. No doubt you've passed it if you've driven through Baton Rouge. It's right there on Bluebonnet across from Perkins Row in the Mall of Louisiana. Gorgeous. Not only do they have tons of meeting space, the ballroom can host an event for up to 500 people. They've got Tallulah, which is a great restaurant option, great for a business lunch or a night out on the town with the terrace, the sort of indoor-outdoor flow there at Tallulah with a fantastic menu, great bar selections as well at Tallulah inside of Renaissance Baton Rouge. And like we always say, man, if the Tigers can move their whole operation before a game day into Renaissance Baton Rouge, whatever event your organization, your company may have, Renaissance Baton Rouge would be ecstatic to host you. So call Allison Crump over at Renaissance Baton Rouge today. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Man, I was encouraged to check out our friends over at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Moscona don't have ED. That's okay. Great. I'm very happy you don't. If you do, you can get ED treatments there, but they do so much more. Hormone replacement therapy and dozens of different peptide therapies as well that I highly encourage you, whatever you might have going on, to think about. I started on NAD Plus several months ago. My energy levels are as good as they have ever been. It literally is taking your cellular optimization, making you younger at a cellular level. BPC 157, body protection, compound 157, another thing that I'm on. It's been clinically proven to help with injury repair, recovery, things like that. If you have an injury, something nagging, like I deal with back pain. So take a very small injection dose every day, and it's incredible. I haven't taken Advil in a month, which is very atypical for me with chronic back pain. So I just highly encourage you, learn more, schedule a consultation. You can live your best life. At Goodwood, there's lowest prices and never any contracts. So you might say, I don't want to get stuck in a long to what if I can't, then try it and stop if you don't like it. But whatever you do, schedule that consultation. Yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. All right, Muso, Tigers and the Pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right, Cole Henry got some relief action on Tuesday night for the Washington Nationals. It was a bit of a struggle. 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits, 2 earned, did strike out a batter. Dylan Cruz, also a rough one for him. He wore the collar, 0 for 3, but did draw a walk. Hey, they got the win, did those Washington Nationals. Major League Baseball action today from an earlier final. Josh Smith. 1 out of 3. It was a single. He also drew a walk. Came around to score twice, though, at the top of the order. Helped really pace the Rangers to their 6-3 victory. Some minor league action from a night ago as well. Alex Lang. Been an interesting season for Lang. You'll remember, had surgery on his lat back in July of 2024. That kept him out for a very long time. Went through a lengthy rehab assignment, made his way back up with the Detroit Tigers, had an appearance through a scoreless inning, by the way, and then was sent back down 2 days later. We find him in AAA. Scoreless inning of relief for him for the Toledo Mud Hens. Perfect, as a matter of fact, with a strikeout. He was able to get the 9th inning there. Gage Jump got the start for the Midland Rockhounds in Double-A. 5 innings, 4 earned, did punch out for it. Got a no decision in that ball game. And then tonight, Paul Skeens, he'll be on the bump. 10-9, a 1.98 ERA. He'll try his hand against the Baltimore Orioles. See if we can't get him to 11 wins. It's Tigers in the pros.
Presented by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. 10 locations, tell you about it all the time. 2 in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport, and online at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. You know, they always talk about the Lee Michaels experience, where when you walk in, they offer you a beverage and chocolates. And with 10 stores, they have the buying power to find what you want. If they don't have what you want, they'll find it. If they can't find it, they'll make it. And they accept returns. If she's not thrilled, they want her to love it. They want you to have the best experience. A lot of people trade in their rings for an upgrade. Great opportunity there as well at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. lmfj.com. lmfj.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. Okay, y'all, we're putting a button here on hour number 2. We'll come back after SportsCenter, get caught up on national headlines, injury report for Saints and Niners. We'll delve into that. And Russ Mitchell in about 20 minutes. It's AFR.
AFR.
And I'm excited tonight. Get to go have dinner with a couple of my friends over from Our Lady of the Lake. We're going to go to Supper Club. Excited about that. And always love when we can have these conversations about continuing to expand our relationship, our partnership, and telling a great story about how Our Lady of the Lake is expanding healthcare, not only in Baton Rouge, but in the entire region. As part of the Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady Health System, Our Lady of the Lake is, and LSU, of course, are making so many great strides in the medical field for our industry, for our region. When you think about the investment they're making, about $250 million in facility investments across Franciscan Missionaries of Our Lady, including the Lake and St. Elizabeth. You can learn more at ololrmc.com/LSU. That's Our Lady of the Lake Regional Hospital, ololrmc.com/LSU. Our Lady of the Lake and LSU, together we roar.